At the beginning of the story, we see a girl named Ju arrive at a luxurious hotel. While there, her attention is drawn to a group of friends nearby. At the same time, the hotel cleaning staff is working close by. Suddenly, Ju gets a wild idea. She quickly puts on a cleaner's uniform and approaches the group. Pointing to one of the girls, she says, "You should be ashamed. You look like you're from a respectable family, yet you're stealing someone else's husband?" The girl left completely confused, unable to understand what's going on. The girl ran after Ju and asked why she had called her inauspicious in front of her friends. She demanded to know who Ju even was. Ju replied that you had been sleeping with my husband and didn't even know who I am. Shocked, the girl said that Jing had never told her about his married. The moment Ju heard the name Jing, she broke down in tears. She said that this explained why Jing no longer came home. He was busy spending time with you. Ju added that she had loved Jing deeply, but he had betrayed her. If not for her, he should have at least thought about their child. She asked the girl if she thought Jing was some rich man, then revealed that they couldn't even afford 2 pairs of shoes for their baby. Ju said she would find Jing immediately and insult him in front of everyone. Hearing all this, the girl was completely terrified. The girl begged Ju not to create a scene. She said that if Ju exposed everything, she would be publicly humiliated. She pleaded with her to calm down and said that if Ju needed money, she could take her purse, all the cash inside, her bracelet, and even her sandals. She promised to break up with Jing and begged Ju not to make a fuss. After hearing this, Ju pretended to cry and walked away, but deep down, she was thrilled. Her plan had worked perfectly. In the next scene, 2 women named Mimi and Sumi came to meet Ju. They greeted her warmly, saying it had been 2 years since they last met. They asked where she had been all this time, but quickly brushed it off, saying it didn't matter anymore. They praised Ju's talent, saying there was no match for her when it came to cheating and acting. They admitted that her performance was far better than theirs and told her they wanted her to work with them. Ju smiled and said she didn't mind working with them, but she made one thing clear: she would never scam children or the elderly. This upset Mimi and Sumi. They said they didn't believe in making such distinctions when it came to scamming, and if anyone tried to get in their way, they would simply remove them. That night, Ju noticed several policemen gathered under her building. Without wasting a moment, she packed a few important belongings into a bag and fled the house. The next morning, she visited her parents' grave. Standing in front of the tombstones, she softly said, "Mom, I'm going away for work." Ju looked at her parents' grave and said that she wouldn't be able to visit them for a few days. She explained that she was going away for some important work that could lead to a raise. But as she spoke, her voice broke, and tears welled up in her eyes. She suddenly confessed that she had lied. She admitted that she didn't have a job, nor did she have anyone in the world. She said she had to eat alone, live alone. Yes, she acknowledged. She had a sister named Bai, but she vowed never to meet her. Just then, Bai's call came in. Ju stared at the screen and rejected it, but Bai kept calling again and again. Eventually, Ju picked up the call. Bai asked if something was wrong and whether Ju was in trouble. Ju got angry and snapped, asking why she always assumed something bad was happening whenever she called. Couldn't she think anything good about her? Bai calmly responded, asking if everything was fine, why you wasn't answering her calls. Then she changed the subject and said she had something important to share. She was getting married on the 8th of next month. Ju was taken aback. She accused Bai of not wanting to tell her about the wedding, suggesting that she was marrying someone just to get rid of her. It became clear that Ju was emotionally immature, stubborn, and unable to fully grasp the situation, whereas Bai was calm, mature, and composed. Bai told her that the man she is marrying is not arrogant. His name is Kim, and he is a kind and decent person who treated her well. Ju, clearly irritated, replied that she didn't care who he is. She wouldn't be attending the wedding. She told Bai to enjoy it alone. After ending the call, Ju looked back at her parents' grave and quietly said, "Did you see? Now, even Bai is getting married. Now their family would be completely broken." In the next scene, Ju was traveling to another city. She boarded the ship, went to her seat, and quickly fell asleep. A boy named Feng arrived a little later and took the seat in front of hers. After settling in, he opened his bag, pulled out a small ring box, and looked at the ring inside. A smile spread across his face as he imagined finally proposing to his crush. Just then, 2 passengers passed by and accidentally bumped into Feng. The sudden jolt caused the ring to slip from his hand and fall under Ju's seat. Feng immediately switched on his phone's flashlight and leaned forward to retrieve it. As the light flickered near her legs, Ju woke up abruptly. Seeing Feng shining a flashlight toward her feet, she misunderstood the situation and became furious. Without giving him a chance to explain, she began yelling and hitting him in front of the other passengers. In the following scene, both Ju and Feng were seated before a police officer inside the ship's security office. the officer began questioning Feng, asking for his name. Feng nervously introduced himself, giving his name, address, age, and the school he attended. He went on to explain that the ring was a family heirloom and that he was planning to propose to a girl that very day. He pleaded with the officer to believe him, insisting that he was a decent man and that his father had served as the mayor of their city. He emphasized that their family was highly respected on their island. The officer, clearly unimpressed by the long explanation, cut him off and said, "All right, that's enough. I just asked for your name." The police officer, clearly tired of the drama, turned to Ju and asked what she wanted to do. He said that if she wished to file a case against Feng, then as soon as the ship docked, both of them would be taken to the nearest police station. Hearing the word police, Ju immediately panicked. She quickly said there was no need for all that and asked the officer to simply warn Feng not to repeat such behavior in the future. The officer nodded and decided to check both of their tickets. After examining them, he looked at Ju and informed her that she didn't have a soft seat ticket. She had only paid for an ordinary seat. He told her to go back to her assigned place. It turned out that Ju had been sitting in the soft seat section without the proper ticket. Now, because of Feng, she had to return to the general seating area, where the seats were dirty and uncomfortable. As she sat there among the crowd, she glared at Feng from a distance. Meanwhile, Feng was still looking at his ring, lost in thought. But he wasn't alone. Someone else in the ship had his eyes on that ring. When Feng got up to use the washroom, that man deliberately bumped into him. In the process, he wiped his hand on Feng's ring, sizing it up. Ju, observing from a distance, immediately recognized the trick. Having pulled off so many scams herself, she could easily spot another con artist. When the ship stopped at the next station, the man got off. Sensing something suspicious, Ju also got off and followed him. She walked up to him and, thinking fast, said, "Hey, look, my ex-boyfriend is coming from the front. Hide me somewhere." She quickly took off the man's coat and put it on herself. While doing so, she discreetly removed the ring from its pocket. Then, handing the coat back, she told them that he had already left and that she was leaving too. But as she turned to return to the ship, she realized it was gone, presenting an unexpected problem. She began to worry. Taking the ring could lead to serious trouble, as she had already argued with Feng once, and if she had hidden the ring in her pocket, the police might have suspected her. That's why she had come back, to make sure she had the ring before it could cause more problems. Earlier, when Feng was looking near Ju's feet, Ju's father's photo frame had accidentally fallen into Feng's bag. Now, the frame, something very precious to Ju, was stuck in his bag. At the same time, Feng's ring was with Ju. She wondered who he would propose to now, and what if he reported her to the police? The thought scared her. Feeling worried, Ju went to the harbor authority for help. The officer told her to go to the police, but just hearing the word police made Ju panic. In desperation, she decided to go directly to Feng's island. Earlier, when officer had asked for his name, Feng had given his all details, so she knew where to find him. Upon reaching the island, Ju went to a docked ship where she met two older women. When she asked them about Feng, they laughed and called out his name. To Ju's surprise, voices responded from all directions, dozens of people saying, "Yes?" The women chuckled and said, "Feng is a very common name here. Almost every household has a son named Feng." One of the women asked Ju which Feng she was looking for. That's when Ju remembered and explained that the Feng she meant was the son of the former mayor. Upon hearing this, the woman realized which Feng she was referring to. Together, the two women began recounting the entire story of Feng's life to Ju. Ju listened patiently, but eventually commented that instead of narrating his whole life story, it would have been much more helpful if they had just given her the address. Soon after, she boarded a rickshaw and headed toward Feng's house. However, the driver went inside and asked Ju to wait there while he went in to inform the family. He returned shortly. Watching the family ring in Ju's hands, Feng's family believed this might be a sign that she is the girlfriend of Feng. They welcomed Ju with a mix of warmth and curiosity. As she entered the house, she was introduced to Feng's father and gradually came to know that Feng's mother had passed away while giving birth to him. Also living in the house were his uncle, aunt, and an elderly grandmother who struggled with memory. At one point, upon hearing Feng's name, the grandmother suddenly commented that he had already passed away. Feng's younger sister, Sui, was also there. Ju tried to clarify the situation, insisting that she wasn't close to Feng and had only come to return his ring, nothing more. But her words led the family to believe that perhaps there had been a falling out between Ju and Feng, and that she was simply not admitting the depth of their relationship. Feeling misunderstood and somewhat overwhelmed, Ju thought it was best to leave. Just then, Feng's younger sister Sui entered the scene. Feng's younger sister spoke to Ju with a pleading tone, asking her to forgive whatever mistake her brother may have made. She explained that Feng truly cared for Ju, had spoken endlessly about her in his messages, and was completely smitten by her. She begged Ju to give him another chance. However, Ju remained unmoved. The tension rose to the point where Feng's father became unconscious, and out of concern for him, Ju felt compelled to stay, even though she had no desire to. Back in the city, Feng had tried to impress the girl he loved by taking her to a magic show. He had even gone as far as dressing up as a cartoon character, and, in the middle of the performance, called her up on stage. In front of a cheering crowd, he removed his mask and revealed himself. Holding a ring box in hand, he dropped to one knee, causing the audience to erupt with excitement and chants of, "Say yes!" The girl appeared delighted and was about to respond positively. But as soon as Feng opened the ring box, her expression changed drastically. Her smile vanished. Feng, now visibly concerned, looked down and was stunned to see the box empty. The ring had vanished. Feng's father had been admitted to a local hospital. Ju, attempting to leave discreetly, found that every hallway she tried to take was blocked by a member of Feng's extended family. In the confusion, she mistakenly wandered into the maternity ward. The doctor eyed her curiously, prompting Ju to quickly claim that she was a family member of one of the patients before hurrying out. But before she could fully exit, the doctor stopped her and said gently, "At 3 months, it's not advisable to terminate the pregnancy. Please take care of yourself," and return to his duties. Unbeknownst to Ju, Feng's aunt and the driver had overheard the entire exchange. Misunderstanding the situation, they assumed Ju was 3 months pregnant, had recently fought with Feng, and had come to the hospital seeking an abortion. Distressed, they immediately brought her back home and began treating her with even more care and affection. Feng's father encouraged her to rest and assured her that once Feng returned, they would all sit down and talk. He reminded her that she wasn't alone. They were all there to support her. Meanwhile, Feng was sitting alone, consumed by sadness. Not only had the ring mysteriously disappeared, but his grand proposal had ended in public embarrassment. Just as he was grappling with the humiliation, Feng had received a call from his father, who sounded unusually serious. He asked how long Feng had planned to keep things hidden from him, and insisted that he return home immediately. Though Feng couldn't understand what his father was referring to, the tone left no room for argument. He knew he had to go back. Before setting off, Feng called his sister Zui to find out what had happened. He asked her why their father seemed so upset. Zui informed him that a girl claiming to be his girlfriend had arrived at the house. Feng assumed it was a misunderstanding, but Zui clarified that it didn't seem like one. After all, the girl was holding their family ring. Hearing this, Feng realized something was off and told her he'd be home soon. Later that night, Ju tried to slip out of the house quietly. However, as she stepped into the hallway, she was surprised to see the entire family gathered in the living room talking about her. They were upset, discussing how wrongly Feng had treated her, and some said they would confront him once he came back. Not wanting to get caught, Ju quietly returned to her room. Inside, she fashioned a rope out of a bedsheet and lowered it out of the window, hoping to escape without being noticed. But what she didn't know was that Grandma's room was right below hers. The elderly woman was sitting by her window when she saw Ju descending and, thinking it was something magical, cheerfully commented that her daughter-in-law seemed to be coming straight from heaven. Startled, Ju quickly responded that she had something important to do in heaven and would come to see Grandma later. Just then, someone began knocking on her door, prompting her to quickly climb back up the rope and re-enter her room. She realized that if her escape attempt were discovered, it would only create more confusion and drama. Shortly afterward, Zui arrived with a cup of hot milk. Seeing Ju sweating and visibly nervous, she asked if something had happened. Ju casually replied that she had just been stretching a little and adjusting things around the room. Zui, concerned for her well-being, gently reminded her not to exert herself too much during pregnancy and told her to call for help if she needed anything. Ju hadn't expected such concern, and it left her momentarily taken aback. She had never experienced such care before, and it made her feel unexpectedly emotional. Over the following days, Feng's family began to treat her with deep affection and attentiveness. They ensured she ate on time, got enough rest, and never let her feel alone. Their warmth slowly filled a void that had long been empty in her life. She started referring to Feng's father as Dad, a gesture that clearly touched him. She even began helping out in the house, sometimes feeding Grandma herself. It was as if she had truly become part of the family. Things felt calm and comforting until Feng finally returned. He stood before his family, looked at Ju, and without hesitation stated that she wasn't his girlfriend and that he had no relationship with her at all. Ju quietly agreed with Feng, saying that he was right. She was no one. With that, she turned to leave. But Feng, instead of staying silent, began to speak harshly about her in front of everyone. He claimed that Ju was fake and announced that he actually liked Yuhan. Hearing this, something inside Zui shifted. She stopped and turned back to face Feng. Her voice trembled as she explained that she wasn't lying. She had chosen to leave for Feng's happiness because he had clearly chosen someone else. She admitted that she had always suspected there was more between Fang and Yuanhan, though he used to insist they were just friends. And now, it was clear, he was leaving her for that same girl. Fang's family anger began to rise. And when Fang went a step further and declared that the child wasn't his, the situation exploded. The family, unable to hold back any longer, began hitting him in frustration. In the middle of it all, Zui stepped forward and shielded him. Her act of protection took everyone by surprise. Even after everything Fang had said, she was still trying to defend him. This softened the family's anger, and they stopped. But even then, they could no longer tolerate him in the house, and Fang was sent away to stay with the driver. Ju, on the other hand, returned to her room feeling triumphant. Alone, she danced around joyfully, feeling vindicated. In her mind, this was justice. Fang had lied to her, and now he was experiencing the consequences. She thought to herself that if he could lie so easily, then so could she. Not long after, Ju went to meet Fang again. This time she asked for her father's photo, the one that had mistakenly ended up with him. But Fang claimed he didn't have it. That answer enraged Ju, and their conversation quickly turned into a heated argument. In a moment of anger, she slapped him. Just then, the driver arrived on the scene. Without missing a beat, Ju pretended as if Fang had slapped her instead. The driver, misled by her act, reacted by hitting Fang in her defense. Meanwhile, Fang's father was seen elsewhere, putting up a poster for the upcoming Sea King Championship, a major event at the town's sea festival where boys from various villages competed. No one from Fang's town had signed up, and his father desperately wanted Fang to represent them. To convince him, Ju and Zui invited Fang back home. When he arrived, they served him an impressive spread of food. Having not eaten properly in days, Fang hungrily began to eat. Once he had taken a few bites, Ju brought up the idea of him participating in the championship. Fang refused. Seeing his refusal, one of the family members suggested removing the food from in front of him. Faced with the threat of losing his meal, Fang reluctantly agreed to take part. From that day on, Ju took charge of his training. She made him exercise hard and pushed him to prepare seriously for the competition. And as the days passed and they spent more and more time together, something began to shift. A new feeling quietly started to grow between them, one that neither of them could deny. Although Fang and Ju had started developing feelings for each other, neither of them had the courage to confess. One day, Fang took Ju to a scenic spot on the highest point of the island. The view was breathtaking, and Ju was completely taken by it. She looked around in awe and remarked that the place felt like heaven. She added half-jokingly that if she could, she would choose to live there for the rest of her life. Fang agreed with a smile, saying he often felt the same way. But then he shared something more personal, that his old crush believed they were still too young to settle in a quiet place like this. She had always said that city life was meant for the young, and small towns like theirs were only suitable for the elderly. The two of them continued to talk for hours, sharing quiet thoughts and unspoken emotions. That night, when Ju returned to the house, she found Mimi and Sumi waiting for her. They had come to Fang's home, pretending to be old friends looking for her. But when they managed to speak with Ju alone, their tone shifted. One of them sarcastically complimented her, saying she had set herself up quite well. They accused her of trying to scam Fang's family on her own, and insisted they deserved a share, or else they threatened to expose her past. Ju was shaken. She tried to reason with them, explaining that Fang's family had become like her own, and she had no intention of scamming anyone, but her words didn't seem to make a difference. Soon, the much-anticipated Sea Festival began. Boys from all over the island's towns had gathered to compete for the title of Sea King. Each contestant was showcasing unique talents, and the excitement was electric. Fang, however, was riddled with self-doubt. Standing among so many confident performers, he felt unworthy and stumbled nervously, even while introducing himself during the opening round. When it was time for the talent segment, Fang performed a traditional cultural dance. Though he danced solo, Ju accompanied him by playing the drum in the background. Their performance was both graceful and powerful, drawing loud applause from the crowd. To everyone's joy, Fang was declared the Sea King. But just as he stepped forward to accept the title, someone in the crowd raised an objection, claiming it was unfair that Fang had received help during his performance. Fang's family quickly responded. They proudly declared that Ju was Fang's future wife, and a wife is family. They added that the Sea King would be incomplete without his queen. The explanation satisfied the crowd, and the man who had objected quietly stepped back. There was celebration all around. Fang's victory brought joy to everyone, but none more than Ju, who was beaming with pride. Feng's father grew emotional, seeing his son stand tall with confidence. Yet amidst the cheer, Ju had made a quiet decision. She knew her time there had come to an end. In a private moment, she handed over all the money she had to Mimi and Sumi, asking them not to trouble Feng's family. She made it clear she was leaving on her own, without causing any harm. Both parties eventually reached an agreement. Soon after, Feng received a bag sent by his friend from the city, and inside it, he found a photo of Ju's father. Intending to return it, he went to meet Ju, only to realize that she was already preparing to leave. It turned out Ju had promised Feng that if he won the competition, she would go away. Before leaving, she revealed the entire truth to Feng's family, to ensure no misunderstandings about him lingered. Later, Ju attended her sister's wedding, where she discovered that her sister hadn't gotten ready yet. When Ju asked why, her sister explained she had been waiting for her, knowing deep down that despite Ju's idealistic ways, her love was genuine. Ju was then introduced to her sister's fiancé, who had long known that Ju wasn't fond of him. Yet, to win her over, he took a photo from his passport and pasted it behind a family portrait of Ju's father, asking to be accepted as part of their family. After the wedding, Ju gave up her habit of scamming people and chose a more honest life, taking up a job in a hotel. Time passed, and one day, while returning home from work, she unexpectedly came across Feng, though he looked very different from before. It turned out that during Ju's stay at Feng's house, Feng's younger sister had once asked how her brother had confessed his feelings. Ju had jokingly made up a story about meeting Feng at a restaurant, where he appeared in a colorful outfit and asked, "Do you smell something burning?" When she replied no, he had supposedly said, "It's my heart, burning for you." The line was cheesy and awkward, but memorable. Now, back in the present, Feng's family had opened a small roadside restaurant, and just as Ju had once described, Feng recreated the exact same cheesy proposal. This time, though, the intention was sincere. Having spent so much time apart, Feng had finally realized how deeply he loved Ju. Ju accepted his proposal, and the story came to a joyful conclusion.